Hello again, you're with Smart Money, the show that gives you your personal finance advice so that you get your money to work for you. Now, we've been speaking to a few people and they feel that as far as financial planning is concerned, when it comes to wealth creation, it's only meant for the wealthy. Now, that couldn't be a bigger myth. We're busting that one for you.
Wealth creation is not about somebody who's already wealthy becoming wealthier. It's about somebody starting with something which may be small, but then actually building that up over a period of time. And that's why it's called creation, because you really are creating it over a period of time. And it's not about 1 year. It is something which is a disciplined process.
I think when you have less money than what you would call wealthy, I think you need to really make it go further. You don't have money to waste. So I think you should think through what you should do with the money, and financial planning in a basic format.
I guess the ideal for a retail investor is to really look at saving on a regular basis, and therefore something like a systematic investment plan or an SIP in a diversified equity fund, I think is a great place to start.
Well, that's got to be one of the biggest myths of all times, that wealth creation is only meant for the wealthy. In fact, quite the contrary, a certain amount of discipline, clarity as far as your goals are concerned, and you're well on your way to create that wealth that we're talking about. But now, one other route is to put in money into mutual funds. That's something we always talk about here on Smart Money. And one kind of fund is your close-ended fund. They're coming back in a big way. We find out the reasons and whether they are worth considering at this point in time. Alok Nanavati is here from Centrum Broking to be able to tell us just that. Alok, a very warm welcome to you on Smart Money. Now, we are seeing this trend of close-ended funds coming back. What do you make of this trend as far as the current scenario is concerned?
I think closed-ended funds have started coming back to the market because there is a sense that a segment of investors are looking at such longer maturity and longer duration products. I don't think it is ideal or suitable for an investor who is just starting out in the markets. It would be better for more mature investors or those investors who do not have any liquidity concerns and thus can stay invested for longer periods of time.
There is something inherently wrong with the idea, or so it seems, with closed-ended schemes. How do you feel about this?
I personally don't believe there's anything wrong with the idea of a closed-ended scheme. I am in favor of a closed-ended scheme because then that encourages fund managers to take a longer-term view on markets as well as investments, rather than to have a shorter-term trader mentality, which seems to be the case with certain mutual funds and certain schemes of mutual funds. While higher returns are always nice and good from an investor's perspective, but then higher returns also mean a higher level of risk. Mutual funds in itself are meant to diffuse risk and diversify investor risk rather than to add to risk. So I think it is always advisable to have a buy and hold mentality or a buy and hold strategy in a mutual fund rather than to have an active trading strategy.
Now, if one was to play the devil's advocate over here, this could be considered in competition with fixed deposits. As far as comparisons go between fixed deposits and closed-ended funds, how do you see it?
Well, I would not say that the closed-ended scheme is akin to an FD. I think they are inherently different. A closed-ended scheme is obviously more geared towards an equity portfolio as against an FD, which is a pure banking instrument and a banking investment product. Maybe the only comparison one can have is in terms of the maturity time span.
Alok, another trend that we are spotting as far as closed-ended schemes is concerned, that a lot of these schemes, they are changing in terms of their very nature. From closed-ended, they're becoming open-ended. Then how should an investor look at this?
See, I think one of the key factors which needs to be understood at the time of conversion of any scheme is the fact that the corpus of the scheme as well as the investments of the present scheme. I think the investor first needs to consider what are the investment objectives of that he is looking at. If he is looking at, again, maturity as well as liquidity on a regular basis or at a shorter term basis, then the closed-ended fund is obviously not meant for him.
And just to put this asset class, this kind of investment idea into perspective, what kind of returns can I expect from closed-ended schemes?
It would be very hard to give even a broad indicator because it again depends upon the nature of the scheme itself. If it's a ELSS kind of product or if it's a longer maturity product, which is at least minimum 3 to 4 years lock-in, then I think it would be easy to expect or it would be fair to expect a return of at least 10 to 15% on a year-on-year basis.
Alok Nanavati of Centrum Broking, thank you very much for joining us with your perspectives on on how to look at close-ended schemes right now. And as far as you're concerned, if you're looking at putting in money in a close-ended scheme, something you might want to understand is the fact that distributors, they are a slightly unhappy lot. With mutual funds now, entry loads going off, they're not getting as much as they used to in the past. And now AMCs are coming out with close-ended schemes in a big way, which means that trail commissions for distributors going from AMCs to distributors is in the range of 3 to 4% for any of these close-ended schemes. The lock-in period is 3 years, so that much money goes to distributors and something that they might want to entice them with, a point that you might want to consider. Right now, we'll take a very quick break on this episode of Smart Money. On the flip side, we look at the news of the week. One item that we are concentrating on is the RBI raising interest rates. How does that impact your life? We'll talk about that and devise a game plan for you. Stay tuned.